So Ray, what did just your thoughts overall for tonight? And nice crowd tonight too, really into everything. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, absolutely, great crowd, great fights. I mean, the main event lived up to it. Both guys are from Florida, so I got to give credit to our PR team and that actually asked for that main event. So I'm going to take credit for that. But yeah, no, I think all the fights showed up, especially the semifinals finalists. Josh and Emperor, you know, put the icing on the cake for the night. I was impressed with what Josh did because there were times where Emperor actually hurt him and he just kept coming back. And so it's good to see, especially because he had lost with Emperor last year. So to see that, yeah, no, I was impressed.
So you've got Godzi facing off against Brent.
Right.
In the championship, you got two amazing grapplers,
right.
Pretty decent strikers, but you know, Brent, 3-degree jiu-jitsu black belt, and a guy right out of the best training camp, Godzi.
Yeah.
How do you see this fight going down?
You know, it's a 5-round fight, and I think they both have power. As we saw Gutsy tonight, Brent, you know, I've seen him when he went up against Solomon Renfro. Both, as you said, both great grapplers. So, but the thing is, I just don't see that fight going the distance. Someone is, you know, that's a 5-round fight, and they both come out and fight. And so, I still think that's going to be, you know, I just don't see that fight going the distance.
Might be a banging fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Danny and Lazaro ended up in a draw. Danny came in here pretty distraught, and he used the retired word a couple times with us reporters. Curious of your thoughts at that fight, how it was scored, and if this is the end of Danny, him in the PFL.
I thought Danny looked great. I thought, that was the first time I've seen him live, and I was impressed with that kind of cocky attitude, still being polite in his own way, but I kind of like that attitude where you just come out and fight, you know what I mean? So it won't be the last time we see him.
When you have so many fighters coming out of Florida, does that make you just want to come back here more when you hear that crowd?
Absolutely. No, we had a great crowd tonight, so yeah, absolutely.
And Thad Jean, he asked about, you know, he brought a lot of people here as well. Silverback Nation showed out. Is he a guy you're looking forward to maybe having in the regular season next year?
What's Thad Jean's record now? 8-0? Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. That's very possible. You know, if we get him another maybe 1 or 2 more fights, it's very possible that he could end up in the season next year.
And you have the super card later this year. Any more fights that maybe announced for that card?
No, we don't. You see, I get in trouble. You guys are just trying to get me in trouble. No, I mean, nothing's been announced yet. Obviously, that's going to be finalized, and I think, you know, in the coming weeks, that will be announced.
Thanks for the rest tonight.
Hey, Ray, one fight that was announced was AJ McKee and Paul Hughes. I was just wondering your thoughts on that match. It's very exciting.
No?
I don't believe that was.
Oh, it's not announced?
No.
Oh, I apologize. Another fight that's not announced I want to ask about, that the fans are behind, the community needs it. Mads Burnell, a great performance again tonight, called out Shane Burgos. A WWE-esque call-out is very good. What do you think about that potential fight at lightweight?
Yeah, that's. I mean, Mads, and I'm glad he called Shane out because you know when you create that kind of hype, I think they should get get in there and go to work. When that would happen, I have no idea. Obviously, they both. I mean, apparently they've actually talked to each other and they've both agreed to it. And so, you know, Matt's winning tonight and calling him out again. So I somewhere down the line, I think that's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but I think it should happen.
I know Shane was rooting for him all day today.
Yep.
And the guy I wanted to ask you about is Jordan Oliver, a guy that has a huge platform. A lot of fans from the wrestling community. Is one of the most accomplished NCAA wrestlers of all time. Do you have high hopes for Jordan Oliver in the PFL?
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential, but I still think he needs a lot of experience. He also fights at a weight class that's very stacked, and so, but time is also not his friend because I believe he's like 33, 34, and so, you know, when you start, I mean, he's really got to kind of fast track and get some high-level quality opponents because he doesn't have much time. When you're 33 and you're only, what, 2-0 now?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's kind of tough. But, you know, I saw a lot of potential in him tonight, and so, you know, that's entirely up to him how fast he wants to, you know, climb that ladder.
And he's a great wrestler. Didn't shoot for a takedown to the third round, so that was
Right.
pretty interesting. I wanted to ask you about Baggio Ali Walsh. A lot of fans some fans seem to complain, like, why is Baggio on the main card always? He hasn't had a lot of experience. A lot of people are trying to rush him, trying to say he should fight, you know, bigger names at this point. But he's doing everything right, it seems. He seems to improve with each fight. What have you seen from him?
Well, I mean, I don't know how someone could not understand why he's on the main card. You just got to think Ali, and, you know, that says it all. That being said, Baggio did have another opponent. Unfortunately, his opponent got hurt, and that opponent was, you know, I think he had a little bit more,
4-0.
yeah, 4-0 in terms of his record. So we were going to step that kind of competition up. Unfortunately, he got hurt last minute. So thanks to Brian for stepping up, and unfortunately, you know, it didn't go his way. But again, this is the potential that Baggio has. Is we got to bring him up slowly. Again, you know, he's only 2-0 now as a pro. So, but he's coming along. I thought tonight he was patient, picked his shots, and finished the fight. So, I mean, when you're that young in the game, that's exactly what you want to do. That's why people want to tune in. That's why people want to see you, is finishing fights. So.
And then last one, on that note, Corey Taylor, the guy who was originally booked to fight, he seemed like a perfect opponent for Baggio, where he's at right now, his experience, and
Right.
has he. So maybe some interest in rebooking that fight down the line.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.
Like, do we have a location for that pay-per-view card?
Yeah, it's on the moon.
Okay, nice. Debut.
The boss lady's right here. No, it's not finalized yet.
Okay. And can you talk about the importance of Francis Ngannou versus Renan Ferreira? When Ngannou signed with you guys, he left the UFC as champion.
Right.
Some people still see him as the best heavyweight in
Right,
the world.
right.
Do you feel like this fight defines who the best heavyweight on the planet is in mixed martial arts?
I agree. Renan Ferreira has like completely in his past this past year winning the championship, and then going up against his name will come to me in a second. Bader. Again, going up against Bader, and was able to finish Bader the way he did. You know, that's stamping your mark, you know, on the world circuit. And I mean, the next big thing for him is to fight Francis, and whew, I can't wait for that fight. That's going to be fireworks, and it definitely is the battle of giants, because those two guys are monsters.
There's a belt on the line, right?
There is, yes.
Yeah. Will that belt be defended moving forward? Or?
Yes, that's,
Okay.
yes.
Right, just in terms of that, like, obviously, in the time since Francis left UFC, they've had all sorts of confusion around who's the champion. A lot of people feel maybe Tom Aspinall, maybe John Jones, though, has the undisputed belt. Do you feel that, kind of regardless, kind of to what Diane was saying, the real MMA undisputed heavyweight champion is going to be decided on October 19th when Renan Ferreira and Francis Ngannou fight each other?
Listen, Francis left as champion, and of course, now the UFC has a new champion, as in John Jones. Tom is such an amazing athlete himself. I think when that opportunity is presented to him against Jones or whoever the world champion is, when he does fight for that title, I would not be surprised if he comes out on top. Sorry, I'm going to turn that off real soon. But anyway, that being said, listen, I think the two biggest heavyweights in the sport today is Francis and Henry Ferreira. In terms of size, they're both proven themselves. They're both great finishers, and so yeah, no, there's no doubt in my mind that those two are definitely the two of the best in the world.
I've got one more. With South Florida especially, we talk about this. There's so many fighters, so many training centers down here. You look at the card, there were so many that had some South Florida ties on this card too and all. Curious because Bellator, PFL, you got a huge roster, so much talent.
Right.
How do you feel about the strength, not only of South Florida, but just the roster, what you could do with PFL, bringing Bellator over, or even some that aren't under contract per se, but are here, and you could have them on your cards?
Well, I mean, that's a great idea, but I mean, we're so busy as is now. For example, we have PFL MENA already started, we have PFL Europe started. We're looking at PFL Africa, Australia, New Zealand next year. So like, there's the whole team's all over the world at the moment. So it's a great idea, but and then there's no doubt that we'll be coming back to Florida. Not only to your point, so many fighters out here, but at the same time, you know, the crowd turned up and supported their own.
Hey Ray, one question about next week's card. Brian Zurcher was set to fight James Gallagher. Gallagher pulled out, I think, last week. Zurcher said he's going to have a replacement. Is that confirmed that he will have a replacement? He'll stay on the card?
Yes, we're still working on it to get that finalized. But yeah, I think we're in the last you know, days finalizing that.
And for the October Supercard, are we talking Western Hemisphere, Eastern?
I already said the moon, so I don't know what that.
How about Mars? You're going to Mars. They're doing
You know,
the
that's very
shuttles are
possible.
going to the Mars now. Come on.
So Ray, talking about defending the super belt, heavyweight belt that you're talking about between Ferrara and Ngannou, do you see the winner of a Goldstein Popov fight, prospectively, that kind of a
Yeah,
match?
absolutely, that's very possible. Yep.
And I want to talk about Jake Paul entering into the Smart Cage. Obviously, you guys are, he's going to be there this week coming up in D.C.,
Yep.
and then you guys, we're going to see him step in there at some point. What type of buzz do you foresee this fight making when he eventually does step in there, because, you know, he's made such big steps in the boxing world?
Yeah, a lot of respect to Jake Paul. You know, for a guy that fighting wasn't a thing in his, you know, career, and obviously he was still training, and then to do what he's been doing, I don't think fighters are taking him lightly anymore. You know, they're realizing that he's the real deal, and especially when he's knocking guys out that have fought for many years. Okay, I understand it's boxing, and he's fighting a lot of these MMA fighters, but still, for a guy that doesn't have that kind of fighting background, if you will, nothing but respect for him, because he's doing well.
Yeah, I know you're a little bit, I know the buzz lady's right there, but is there anything that you can kind of give us in terms of who you might be looking for in terms of matchups for him? I mean, where does he fit in that picture?
Well, apparently, from what I understand, he and Mike Perry had both talked and both agreed that they would, if they, when the time comes and that MMA fight would happen, it would be in the Smart Cage, which is at the PFL. So I believe they both agreed to it. They both talked to each other about it. And, you know, it's no secret. I don't know if you've seen it, but I have. So that'd probably be the fight.
Is there a date for, have you guys talked to Jake at all as to when he could possibly debut?
Nothing, you know, nothing scheduled at the moment, but
2025?
You never know. Jake Paul might be able to, you know, tell you guys next week.
Nate Diaz fight is off, no?
What was that?
Not Nate Diaz, that's not immediate one.
Again, you know, that's something, like I said, anything is possible with Jake Paul, and I'm surprised that he wanted to do that MMA fight, which is amazing. But again, I'm pretty sure that if he wants people to know, he's going to probably say something about it next week.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
We've obviously talked about PFL Europe, PFL Africa, PFL Australia, and everything else. How do you see the future of the brand growing in the next couple of years with the Jake Paul and the Francis Ngannou combination that we have?
I think, you know, I I didn't see it to be where it is today 2 years ago. You know what I mean? And I think we're growing in leaps and bounds, and give it another 2 years, we'll continue to grow. You know what I mean? There's other, for example, PFL China is possible, PFL Japan is possible. So there's a lot of different countries that we will be going into as well. But yeah, I mean, that's the goal, is to continue to grow and continue to sign the best fighters that are available.
We were here in January for the Bellator versus PFL press conference. Now we're here 8 months later. Great event tonight. How has the PFL evolved in just the past 8 months?
Man, this 8 months has grown it's gone by so fast, and one of the reasons is because, like I said, you know, our staff is all over the world at the moment with everything that's going on. In terms of growth, yeah, no, like I said, we're just continuing to grow and continuing to sign big names and big talent that becomes available, and we're finding talents all over the world at the moment. So, yeah, to answer your question, I think everybody's happy with the growth at the moment, and we're going to continue, you know, on that path.
Anyone else? Awesome. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.